just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Packer Up, boys. Time now. Well, you know the time. Woo-hoo. Oh, tastes like the weekend. Tastes beautiful. So good. As always, guys, sit back, relax. The week is done. You've worked your ass off. You've done all the hard stuff. Spend some time to enjoy for yourself, with yourself, your partner, your family, whatever it is. Enjoy it. So sit back and just chill out. Just chill out. Also, talk about chilling out. Beer, Food and Footy Festival, the 22nd of July. So that is not this week, but next week, the 22nd of July at Henson Park in Marrickville. It is a huge beer, food and footy festival. And what that means is basically there's a bunch of Australian-made beers that you can come in and try, plus all different foods you come in and try. Over 10,000 people. There'll probably be around 12 to 15,000 people there for a whole day of rugby league, ending with Newtown Jets versus Manly. It is a great day, and we always talk about how good old school rugby league is. This is exactly that. Plus, you get to try all different beers. You get to sit on the hill. It'll be a beautiful day. You get to try different foods. So go to the show link. The show link's under the caption or whatever.
Yeah. The link in the show notes.
Yeah, the link in the show notes, or Google Beer, Food and Footy Festival to grab your tickets. They are close to sold out, guys. So if you're interested, trust me, it's such a good day. Even if it's just to bring the family to sit on the hill and watch the footy, it's such a fantastic day. So make sure to be down there, because I'll be down there, Guru will be down there, Matty will be down there, serving bloke beer. So come down and say hey and watch some rugby league. Also, big week for Rugby League and Bloke Lager in New South Wales. Go check out the winter catalogue, Celebrations, IGA and Thirsty Camel. We are doing crazy deals on Bloke Lager. That is every Celebrations, IGA Plus Liquor and Thirsty Camel in New South Wales currently stocking Bloke Lager. And then obviously every Celebrations in Queensland, every Liquor Legends in Queensland stocks Bloke Lager, and I think a lot of them sell the midi as well. So make sure to get in there, grab a case of beer. Now let's get into the biggest talking points. Last night, under-19s, New South Wales defeat Queensland 32-14, and the girls as well. The Queensland defeated the New South Wales under-19 girls as well. So the last game was actually, if Queensland had won it, it would have meant that every Queensland team won State of Origin this year. But the New South Wales team got up 32-14. Geez, there's some really good young talents coming through. Wow.
Thank God for the boys. Saving the state.
Could you imagine?
I know. I remember the Blues. The Blues did the clean sweep one year when I was there, and yeah, it was bloody awesome. So I'm glad we stopped Queensland from doing that. But yeah, mate, I won't lie. I haven't, since I stopped working in New South Wales, I used to watch a lot of the lower grades when I worked there, but I haven't done so in so many years. So these guys are all new to me. I actually listened to Guru's podcast before just so I could be a bit more familiar. And, man, there are some future guns coming out.
I just find it so impressive of like how progressed they are physically and mentally. Like they play similar plays. And, look, they're under 19, so a lot of people debut before they're 19. I think I debuted when I was around 19. But just the fact that they're so physically ready these days, like because they're all in systems, they're all part of first grade squads. But geez, there's some guys there where you honestly look at probably 80% of them, physically at least, maybe not mentally, but physically at least, they look ready to play first grade.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They don't. I had to remind myself a few times last night that I was watching. I for some reason I had it in my head that it was under 23s, but I had to remind myself that these are actually under 19 kids, and you're right. Some of them look like they could, physically, like they look like they could play first grade tomorrow, which is obviously, it's progressed a lot in the last 10, 15 years.
Ethan Strange was outstanding, scored a hat-trick, signed with the Raiders as well.
Yep.
Isn't it funny how, and a sign of a good club, I know the Raiders aren't necessarily a heavyweight in the competition, but we speak about it all the time on the podcast. A sign of a good club is a club that has DNA, and like, isn't Ethan Strange such a Raiders player?
He is.
You know what I mean? He's a fucking battler. He looks like he's from the country. I don't know if he is. He looks like Liam Martin out in the centres. And he just looks like a battler. There's just something about the physicality in which he plays the game, just the way he moved as well. He just looks like he suits the Raiders.
Yeah, bloody oath. It was good to see him. Obviously he scored a hat trick at centre, but pretty sure he involved in the halfbacks try as well. Like he was just everywhere. And you're right, he definitely does look like a Raiders player. So, and the Raiders, I forget his last name, Chevy, the gun fullback. He didn't have the greatest game in the world, but he's at the Raiders as well.
Yeah.
So good signs for Canberra.
Yeah, at least he made the side with Chevy. I think Chevy's quite a ways away though. He made quite a few errors last night, but you could see he reminds me a little bit of Pappenhausen to a degree, like quite a smaller body. He kept what I liked about Chevy at the back is he just kept turning up. Like he didn't let the couple errors or whatever, deter him from being engaged in the game. And sometimes you have a game like that.
Sometimes you have a bad
It's just
an average
This
game.
is all part of development, and I'm sure, he'll be disappointed at some points. But look, there's guys like Pappenhausen that couldn't get starts at certain clubs. So it's all part of the process. It's, this is what these games are for, is to teach you, obviously it means a lot to the boys, but really when it comes to your career, these games are for learning what to do, what not to do. And sometimes players, they go to those games and they kill it, and then they might get to NRL and struggle. And some players go to those games and struggle, but by the time they get to NRL, they've learned. Sometimes you can take more away from a game like that if you struggle than if you kill it.
Yeah.
And so it's a real opportunity for Chevy to just go back a little bit and just go, okay, like we all know he's a good player, a really good player. Wouldn't get selected otherwise. Just fix up a few things. And I'd say the same with the Queensland fullback. I'm not sure what his name was, but he had quite a few errors. And
you're right though, pretty similar. Like he was just everywhere, just wanted to be part of it.
Yep.
Made a couple errors, but yeah, you're right. They played pretty similar.
Pretty similar. So they'll learn. It's not. As I said, they'll be disappointed, but at the same time, this is all part of your progress. If there's one thing I regret, I regret a lot of things about my career, but if there's one thing I regret about my career was the impatience. So impatient. Bizarrely. If there was one person that shouldn't be impatient, it's literally me, because I started playing rugby league at 17. So I should be sitting there going, mate, you've got so much to learn. But I wasn't. I was like 18, 19, wigging out that I hadn't debuted yet. And so always the advice I give to young fellas coming through is just be patient. And it's your trade. Like, just learn, be patient. The main ingredient you need to have is a good attitude and having a dig on the footy field. Everything else, if you're in a first grade squad at 18 or 19 years old, you are talented. You are talented. So that you don't have to worry about that. That is fine. Everything is sorted in regards to your talent and your ability. The only thing you need to worry about is learning, having a crack, and bringing a good attitude, because you have the talent to play first grade if you are already in a first grade squad at 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
So these younger, if you have one of these big moments, you're on TV and you're all excited, and then you struggle a little bit, you'll learn so much from that. And then the next game you go into like that, you'll know when to just pull things back, or, have a few more runs, or whatever you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you who I thought was really good. The halfback from the Blues.
Yeah.
I think his name's Ethan Sanders. There's too many Ethans. He won the SG Ball Grand Final and was player of the match in the Grand Final, I'm pretty sure, for the Eels. And it was great. I loved the commentary last night. I love when Joey talks about young kids, because he obviously they're not playing first grade yet. So his insight is probably a little more exciting to listen to, because he says what they're good at, what they should work on, blah, blah. But this Sanders kid, especially in the second half, wherever he wanted the ball to go with his foot, he just put it, he kept putting it in the corner, So, he looks the goods.
Yeah, when I see a young half that, he obviously had some highlights last night. There were definitely highlight real moments. But when I see a young halfback where their game is so good, you're almost not noticing the control they have on the game until the 70th minute. That's when you go, you got something special there, because they're controlling a game in such a subtle way. Whereas sometimes when I see a young halfback and they've got all the flair and there's big cutout balls, that's good, but it actually excites me more when I see a young halfback that can control a game.
Yeah.
Because that's the harder part. There's plenty of players out there that have crazy cutout ball. That's all the fun stuff. The boring stuff is the guiding the boys around the park, getting to certain points in the field, making sure forwards are where they need to be. I agree. Ethan Sanders, he was really good, and a kicking game is just getting more and more important. Because there's so little between each side. Any extra meter, any extra second you can get, kicking is so important. Which club is Ethan Sanders with?
I'm 99% sure he's with the Eels.
With the Eels, interesting. Yeah, wow.
When it comes to kicking, he's got a pretty good senior and Mitch Moses ahead of him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's great for the Eels. Absolutely fantastic for the Eels. Another guy that was really good. So, yeah, Ethan Strange was fantastic, super strong, and I just loved his energy. Like, every run was his last run. And that's just such, again, it's like such a Raiders thing. They just fucking love it. Another guy, Ethan Ferguson, which is Latrell's cousin, scored a great try. He also was a goal kicker. He's quite thick, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he moves well.
Yeah.
Moves well for a big fella. He's on the wing, wasn't he?
He was on the wing,
He's on the right wing, I'm pretty sure.
Right wing, yep. Well, that put down was as you say, like he's big, and it's not so surprising to see people coming through now that are big and strong and fast as well, because we've seen guys before, but it's nonetheless absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And then to see how like such a strong ball runner has all those attributes, but then to put down that try he did, which was just friggin' spectacular. So he's a freak.
He's doing these ones already.
I know.
He was already doing just kicking goals and doing these ones.
I love how he missed the first two as well, and he was still doing that. Man, he's with South as well, so I was very stoked to see that.
I guess the big question with guys that rely on their physicality, like a Strange or like a Ferguson, both of them good footwork, physicality. It's okay. You're doing that against teenagers. All those little extra spaces you get, will you be able to do that against first graders?
Yep.
And that is not saying they won't be able to do it, but if there's one thing you know for sure that first grade has more than under 19s, it's strength and contact, and also in systems. So a guy that may rely heavily on his strength in under 19s, he may get to first grade, and if he's not, Greg Inglis or Latrell Mitchell or whatever, that part of his game, he needs to find other ways to, I guess, round out his game to have line breaks to whatever. So, because when you think about it, you've got, like even guys like Timoko took a little bit to get rolling into his, like he would have come through the grades so strong. And I reckon even he took a bit. Pensini, perfect example.
Yeah.
Gun coming out of school, first year or two, he wasn't bumping blokes off or throwing them around. We get into year 3, and he is genuinely bumping blokes off. Why? Because he's had time to deal with the physicality, understand that, and also get his own man strength. So that'll be the interesting, I think, with like a Strange or a Ferguson, is just watching them progress into the player. It's not going to, it might, but very rarely does a player come in as an 18-year-old and be stronger than his opposition.
Yeah,
it usually takes 2 or 3 years. The only time that happens is if your name's Latrell Mitchell, Greg Inglis, Selwyn Cobbo, for example. So that is one thing, and I'm sure their systems, I'm sure they're aware of it too. It's like anything, like it's going to take time. You just got to be patient. I thought Fainu had some really good moments at half, at 6.
The half,
I thought they both had good moments. I loved the 10, Fainu.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, apologies. I loved his mongrel.
Yeah.
Like when the game was in the balance, start of the second half or even mid-second half, he was fucking into it. He was in everything. He really wanted to hurt people. So I'm excited to see how he goes coming into first grade, because when the game was on the line, he didn't take a step back. He actually took a step forward.
And even like, I know this is obviously, shouldn't advocate for fights or anything, but even when there was that big head-high tackle at the start and the Queensland bloke got sin bin, like the first one in there was Fainu to look after his mate.
Look after his brother.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's his job as a front rower, is to protect his halves. If you're the big enforcer, you got to be there first. So yeah, I thought Fainu, I think it's Latu Fainu, the half, just the first try, just that little delicate short ball, the double pump. These are a lot harder than you think. So I'm excited to see how he goes, because what's really interesting about him is he's more of a ball running 6, but he's already got silky hands.
Yeah.
So imagine 4 or 5 years of first grade training, his hands are just going to get better and better.
Yeah, we saw that running game pretty late into the game, but geez, he's got that. He's like really light on his feet, fast footwork. So, I mean, I've never really watched him, but Guru said he's a gun, and a lot of people say the same thing. So, yeah, it looks like the Tigers are going to get him.
Yeah, that's where I go. Is the Tigers the best place for a guy like Fainu, because they don't have a 7 right now? And is Dewey going to be sick? I don't know. Look, if he's getting a big contract, you've got to weigh up: is the money worth the potential struggling at a struggling club?
Yep.
If he feels that way, then yeah, for sure. And look, he's got plenty of time. If he struggles at Tigers, he can go somewhere else. I don't know. I'd love to see him just learning in a system. Because, like, for example, if he goes to Tigers, like, who's he going to learn off as a 6?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Or as a 7?
As a 7. Well, they're only halfback. He's Brooks and he's gone. And
Dewey's more of a utility
Yeah.
centre, not really a natural 6.
Nah.
So who does he learn off? Appy obviously will teach him a lot, but Appy's a 9.
Different position, yeah.
So, yeah, it will be... I wonder where he will end up, but I do think it's a massive loss for Manly. Jesus.
Oh, it's a huge loss for Manly.
He would be such a good partner for Cherry in the halves. And when I see him play, I go, ooh. Bringing in Brooks, which makes you lose him. If that is the reason why he's going to leave, that's when I go, Brooks is definitely the shorter term fix, but long term, Fainu definitely could be a long term 6
Yeah,
for the club.
100%. Yeah.
I just don't know. It's a big call. As I said, I hadn't seen him play before. Now I've seen him play. I go, could you maybe rush him into that 6 role next year instead of having to lose him and get Brooks? I don't know. Yeah, look, there may be more to it. Maybe he wants a bigger contract. I'm not sure, but if it is the case that you're basically losing Brooks, you're gaining Brooks to lose him.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. In the short term, definitely a good call.
Yeah.
Long term, though, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the timings were like. There might have been whispers about Fainu going to the Tigers before, but then again, the Brooks to Manly thing came out of nowhere, so we don't really know what happened.
I mean, I feel like it has to be connected because it's like Schuster isn't the long-term 6, clearly. He's re-signed and agreed to play on an edge.
Yeah.
So Fainu's essentially, you've got KO Weeks, yeah, for sure, but like Fainu's kind of the next guy up outside of KO Weeks. So anyway, I mean, who knows? He could go to the Tigers and absolutely kill it.
Yeah.
It could be the right decision for everyone. Brooks could kill it at Manly and he could kill it at Tigers and everyone's happy. Kind of like the Reynolds situation with the Broncos and South. It doesn't always have to be someone loses, someone wins. Both parties can win. For Queensland, I thought, and maybe I was watching him a bit closer because he's over the Broncos, but I thought Moser, he just showed class. He just looked like he was he looks NRL ready, to be honest.
Yeah, I admire on him as well. I tell you what I noticed. I noticed how much chat that he has.
Yeah.
Every time the camera went on him, he's just barking at his teammates, which is very, very good sign.
Great tackling technique in defence. Jeez.
And he's sharp out at dummy half.
Great, very silky.
Yeah, I thought both hookers were quite good. Scott from New South Wales, he had good service, but yeah, and Moser was great.
He's got that touch of class that you can't really measure. If I was to say he does this or does that, but you have to just watch him.
Yeah,
It's almost like obviously not Cameron Smith, but like if you try to explain why Cameron Smith was great, it's very hard because you don't have the highlight reel to point to. Whereas like if I explain how good Harry Grant is, very easy, super explosive, crazy ball running in the middle there, breaks tackles, scores tries. Cameron Smith, you have to watch to know his greatness. You watch and go, it's deeper than words. That's how good he is because he's reading a game on a different level. And I'm not saying Moser is reading the game on the same level as Cameron Smith, but what I am saying is you've got to watch Moser to see how silky he can be. He's around the ruck.
Yeah.
All the little things that aren't highlight reel stuff and all the chat, the talk, his defensive technique. You know, they got big raps on him and hopefully he delivers. He seems like a guy that wants to take on the leadership role. I think he was captain last night. He got a great physique in regards to he's not too small. So I'm really excited. I think that by next year, he should be ready to at least debut.
That's what I was going to say. Like, what do you reckon the Broncos' plan is for him?
I think he's a long term. I think the Broncos' plan is, and I know like Billy Walters, Kevy Walters, and, you know, I know all that chat or whatever, but I don't think Kevy Walters is going to stop a 9 like Moser from progressing through when he's ready, just because. And also, Billy Walters makes a great 14, like a really good 14 in my opinion. And so I think the next few years, at least, let's say Moser does get that 9 role, Billy Walters can be the 14 for the next 4 or 5 years, or next 3 years or so, whatever it is. So I think by next year we probably will see Moser. He'll get the first crack in trials. If he does well, he'll get another crack. If he does really well, then he'll be putting pressure on that 9 role. Now, look, if Broncos go all the way to a grand final or something like that this year, that'll be a lot harder to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really excited with Moser. There was also a centre that was really, really good for. I think he looked like Herbie Farnworth a little bit.
Yeah.
Super strong, really fast. I forgot which club he is with. The Eels? No. Anyway, there's a centre for Queensland I liked. One of the wingers I thought was quite good. I think it was the right winger for Queensland. I thought he got through a lot of work. There was a front rower that's with Broncos. You know, he looks like a good, big boy. But what killed Queensland was just their completion.
Oh,
just
terrible.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking.
I think both teams at the start, you could tell the occasion kind of got to them a bit because I think in the first 10 minutes, there was like 8 errors from both teams.
It's the young fellas. They're keen. They want to make their mark and have their moment. But yeah, it was really good to see. Really, really good to see the young fellas coming through. And geez, we got some talent there. Got a lot of talent. Very exciting. Very exciting.
So I love watching on Channel 9. I said I love listening to Joey. When Phil Gould was talking about Ethan Strange, and you just kept saying, if Ethan Strange put his hand down a toilet, he'd pull out a gold watch. And then when Joash Papali, I think his name is, from the Bulldogs, put that kick in on tackle 1 and Strange scored his 3rd. And then Andrew Johns was just yelling, gold watch, gold watch.
So
fantastic.
Good. So good. Biggest topics in rugby league, I think it's really still the RLPA situation with the NRL. It really is. I got to say, I know that they did the post-match speech, Queensland, which I thought was great and really well done from the RLPA. They did that. But I got to say, I really think it was a missed opportunity for the players to speak. I think that they should have lifted the ban for that game, for just one game. And then, because it's not like all of a sudden there's an Origin next week or the week after where they're like, oh, well, if we do it for one game, we've got to do it for more games. It's like, this is the last game. Get out of the way. Then you can do your media ban for the rest of the year if you want.
I agree. I really, really missed the post-match. And maybe it's because the Blues won and I just wanted to hear some of the debutants, but everyone would have wanted to. Yeah, I'm sure you would have wanted to as well. It's funny how when New South Wales Blues put out their interview with Bradman Best, just how, for me personally, I was like, oh my God, finally.
Even I was watching it. Whereas usually I'll just go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I never really watched those ones.
So, and look, the hard thing is because RLPA made this decision to boycott, all the direction of fault is at them. But it's like, okay, but what was done to make them make that decision? Like how well, like if someone comes to you and says, take it or leave it, this is the deal, and we're not coming back to the table, so you fucking better take it.
Yeah.
Like what else can you really do?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, people say, oh, they should have covered the NRL logo. They already did that. They didn't speak to the NRL at the start of the year, and they actually made some progress at the start of the year. So, yeah, it's tough. I really hope it doesn't get to where we think it is. And, you know, it's getting worse. So the NRLW was supposed to have a season launch. And I thought that the NRLW girls had said, no, we're not doing media because of the boycott. But it's actually not true. All the NRLW girls, they do want to do the launch. But apparently the trust has broken down so much between the NRL and the players. The NRL is like, nah.
Oh, God.
And that's from one of the player managers of the girls. So all the girls want to do it.
Oh my God.
And it's outside of the times of the media blackout.
Yeah.
So the girls aren't boycotting the season launch. And I'm not sure whether the NRL has said to them, don't go. I don't know those details. All I know for sure is the girls, it's not in the black zone in regards to the media blackout.
Yeah.
So they can do it by their own standard. And also all the girls want to do it because they want to promote the game.
Of course they do. Like at the end of the day, missing out on the Origin interviews, yeah, it sucked at the time. And I wish we heard from Best. I wish we heard from Walker, blah, blah. But they don't really need it. The players don't need it. But the women's comp needs it. They need it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
and
disappointing.
Also, it's, you know, I'm not someone that's going to sit here and go, you guys know, I'm extremely I want the girls to eventually be able to generate their own revenue and pay themselves from their own revenue. That's the hope. So that's the hope long term. But right now, we've got this really good opportunity. The NRLW is way more watched than the AFLW.
Yep.
So it's like, look at the World Cup for soccer. It's sold out everywhere pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, it is going to be absolutely massive. And rugby league can never get there because we're not a world game. Now, I enjoy men's rugby league better. I'll always will. I'm not going to pretend NRLW for me personally is going to be as... Now, maybe one day it could be, but me personally, I don't think it will be.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it can't be its own product that's enjoyable, though. Doesn't mean that when I'm flicking through the TV, I don't stop and watch it. I stop and watch NRLW if it's on.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to pretend it's going to be as good as the men's game or whatever for me personally. But it doesn't mean that we can't create its own product. That's are you telling me that the Matildas right now aren't paying for themselves?
Yeah, bloody earth they are.
It's going to be so good for the country, for women's sport. And so you got the NRLW and it's they're more viewed than AFLW with way less resources. The AFLW have I think it's 18 full-time squads.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So they got a lot of resources. NRLW has nothing compared to that. And I understand it's the the men's game that subsidises the women's game.
Yep.
But the players have agreed. They're okay with it. The players are okay with taking a percentage of the revenue they've agreed to give to the girls. So why not just get like behind it? We've got this opportunity to imagine in, I don't know, 10 years if we've totally crushed the AFL in the women's game.
Yeah.
How big a win that is.
I'll tell you why I'll be a big win as well. I don't watch soccer at all. I'll like if the Socceroos are playing in the World Cup, I'll watch a bit of it, but I'm just not interested. It's not for me. But I'm certainly, like, no disrespect, I'm certainly not interested in women's soccer either. But because of how the growth of the women's soccer in Australia, blah, 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 and like how the World Cup's come to Australia, all the promotion, and it's all kind of sold out. Not like FOMO or anything, but like I want to go to a game now.
You want to be part of the cultural moment.
Yeah. So imagine if rugby league can obviously it's never going to get to that level, but imagine if
we just have an opportunity.
Yeah.
And the people have spoken. We have more viewers. Matter of fact, I think there's a stat. Could you Google it? Like women's game viewed more than like women's NRLW viewed more than. I think there was actually a time when an NRLW game was more viewed than an AFL men's game.
Oh wow.
Now, Dior, obviously, do your own research on that one, but there's some crazy stats. So, like, this is what we have here. This is the product we have, that it genuinely, people watch it. And I'll be honest, like, right now, if I had a daughter, I'd be putting him in soccer. Putting her in soccer if I had a daughter.
Yeah.
Because, like, look at the pathways, look at the support, look at all over. The daughter can go overseas, earn really good money. Obviously, got the Matildas. And that's because the game has grown. Could you find it or not?
I'll have to research more deeper than that.
Yeah. So it's tough. It's tough. I'm going to research it real quick. So you keep talking.
Yeah, sweet. I think Australia are playing tonight in the might be a trial or a friendly or whatever they call it in the Women's Soccer World Cup, and I'm actually excited to turn it on. And it's crazy. I have no interest in soccer, no interest in anything. That's how far we can go with this game. It's funny. I know I bang on about how I used to work in New South Wales. I'll try to stop. But I actually was in camp for the first time that the Blues team beat the Queensland team in 18 years. I think it was in 2016. It wasn't even called Women's Origin then. But from what I can see, the growth of the game since then has been truly remarkable. Like, I'm pretty sure all those players almost had to pay their way to be there. Like, they definitely didn't get paid for it. And just the product, like, you look at the highlights of that game, or you watch that game now compared to a Women's Origin game now, and it's absolute night and day. Even though it was great back then, it was bloody awesome to see the New South Wales girls of 2016 win up at the Gold Coast. And that was like Alana Ferguson, Sammy Bremner, Ruan Sims, Smima Taufa, a couple of like legends in the women's space. But just to see how far the game has grown and progressed since then, imagine if we throw even more money, more promotion, more anything at it, how big the women's game is going to get in a few years. So, yeah, obviously the season launch being not boycotted, but like not whatever it is from the women is very disappointing because it's an exponential growth of the women's game, but stuff like this putting a halt to it.
Yeah. So look, I'm not sure whether it was a men's AFL game or whatever, but I do know if you research enough, you'll find like one of the NRLW's games was like more viewed than some crazy sport. So there's opportunity there. So hopefully they can sort it. But yeah, other big news, Payne Haas, the big fella.
Yeah.
Going to hit the open market November 1st. Look, it's like, it'd almost be bad business not to.
You got it.
He's got to. Look, I think he'll stay.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if he leaves. But he's most likely, or at least it looks like, he could win the Dally M this year.
And I'm pretty sure a front rower has never won it before. Like Tumbalolo has.
Yeah.
But like
was he 13 at that stage?
Yeah, he was a lock.
Yeah, so I wonder if a front rower has ever won it. They probably have, like, back in the day. But in a while, I don't know if a front rower's won it or come close. And so, like, as a Dally M winning player, you're better off negotiating at that period than you are, now. Like, why would he re-sign now when he's only going to get more valuable?
100%.
Like, even if he gets injured next week for the whole season, his value's not dropping.
No.
But if he wins a Dally M, he's a superstar. Like, he's already a superstar, but you know what I'm saying. So, look, I think it's just a matter of, with Payne Haas, if there are people talking about loyalty or whatever, like I think that's, yeah, for sure. Payne Haas has had some stuff off field that the Broncos have been, good about and taken care of, but he's repaid that. Like, let's not pretend like Payne Haas hasn't given absolutely everything every time he steps foot on the field. So if anyone's earned the right as his own commodity to go on the open market, it's Payne Haas.
Just on loyalty, I don't think Payne Haas, just say he gets offered $1 million at the Broncos. I don't think he's going to go to another team for 1.1 or something. Like, I reckon, unless they blow the Broncos out of the water, and that'd be fair enough. You've got to look after yourself. But I reckon if the offer's close enough, unless he goes to another sport like NFL or something, then...
Well, apparently NFL bloody tried to get him across.
Yeah.
Maybe rugby union. Look, and it's also a matter of like, as a manager, and I'm not sure if the manager is experienced or not experienced, but like if he comes off contract, then his client is in the paper every day. He's the main attraction, and Payne has this and Payne has that. So when all that hype is around, you can start going to different brands, car brands, McDonald's, or whoever you want to go to, and say, this guy's about to sign a massive deal. There's all this hype around him. We can, you sign the deal with the club, but part of that hype can be an announcement of a deal with Nike, a deal with McDonald's, a deal with, Uber, whatever it is, whatever the deal is, a car brand, Mercedes, whatever it is, that can all be packaged in the hype that whereas if he re-signs right now, there's no hype. There's no hype.
Exactly.
His profile doesn't get bigger. It's just like, okay, yep, he's at the Broncos, all good. But from a business perspective, you almost want to enter. I know it seems a bit selfish because you're like, well, what about the team and distraction? But I don't think Payne Haas gets distracted by anything, seriously.
But I think it's equally selfish as a fan, and I'm guilty of it. Everyone's guilty of it, to say, oh, for the best interest of me, just re-sign now.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Well, it's like, fans, they'll go, some fans anyway. To be honest, I think there's a silent majority that get it. That really do. I think there's just a loud minority that might be a bit. But like some fans will be like, oh, he should be loyal and stick with the club and don't be selfish. And it's like, all right, well, tell me how many ex-players you even think about that stayed loyal.
Exactly.
Like 5 years after their career, do you care where they are? Do you care how they're going? But you want them to, you know what I mean? It doesn't.
It does.
And I was saying, I don't think most fans are like that, but it's more like some fans that are just like, expect this player, be loyal, don't be a dog. It's like, well, as soon as he takes that jersey off, you don't give a fuck about him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, what? How's that fair? And this has come from a guy that, really like tried my hardest to stay at the Broncos, like as much as I could. So I was trying to be loyal. So yeah, look, Payne Haas. Look, I doubt he's going to leave. He just has to ask himself this. Most things are, if people pretend things are simple, sometimes they are, but sometimes they aren't. I think in this situation, it kind of is simple for Payne. He has to ask himself, if I'm going to win a premiership, I'm going to have to get paid a little bit less.
Yeah.
So I either need to accept that at the Broncos, where I get paid, $1 million rather than 850, because with the new salary cap coming, $1 million is, he can become $1 million player.
For sure.
Whereas like the current salary cap, you just can't spend $1 million in front row, in my opinion. And so he has to ask himself, okay, do I want to get paid $1.5 million at the Tigers or the Bulldogs and go into another rebuild? Or do I want to get paid $1 million and be I was a part of the rebuild. I was the main guy in the rebuild. I was there when they were at the bottom. Payne Haas was killing it when Paddy Carrigan was still trying to learn get his game together. Now, obviously, Paddy Carrigan has become the player he is, but that's the question. And if the answer is, I want to win a premiership, then he should stay at the Broncos.
Yeah.
Look, unless Panthers, are offering him $600K or something, then fair enough. Like that, I would put it this way: if Panthers offered him $600K and he took it, I'd be gutted, but I'd understand it because if
Panthers offered him $600K, the NRL would step in and go, no way.
I think that maybe $700K they could get away with.
Yeah,
because that would probably be his minimum value.
Yeah.
Like, because you can't put his minimum value at like fucking 900 grand.
Yeah, you're right. Imagine if he signs with the Panthers, the uproar.
Mate, they would be fucking unstoppable.
Oh.
Actually unstoppable.
Like, they're already almost unstoppable.
But yeah, outside of that, like, look, the Rabbitohs, and there are clubs that are maybe closer to a premiership, but right now, the Broncos, if they play the way we know they can, they're just as close to a premiership as the Rabbitohs, in my opinion.
Oh, if you're talking about, at least, mate, don't worry about this year. You're talking about premiership windows. The Broncos, the next 3 years, they're knocking on the door.
If they play as well as they can. We have, and that's the difference. Like Rabbitohs have played that well, so we know they can.
Yeah.
We just don't know what this squad does when it hits finals time.
You know what? And obviously touch wood for you, that if the Broncos like make the top 4 or at least make the top 8, I'm really keen to see what this team does in finals.
Yeah.
Really keen.
Because you can have the great squad get to finals and just go to water. You don't know. Or
100%.
you can get to finals and fucking step it up a notch. So regardless of what Payne Haas does, I'm just appreciative of what he's done in the jersey. You know, I'll be devastated if he leaves, but if there's as I said, if there's a bloke that has earned the right to go on the open market, it's Payne Haas.
Absolutely.
He's given his all to this club through the good times and the worst time in the club's history.
Yep.
He was our guy. So a lot of fans, if you're a bit, salty or whatever, let's just remember when this club was on its fucking knees, Payne Haas was the main guy. There was no one else. No one else. Like, as I said, Paddy was still learning his trade. There were other guys that were, coming into their good form. Payne Haas was literally one of the best in the game through our darkest times. And he stayed. He stuck through it this whole time. And he's put this club and helped put this club in a position where we may be challenging for a premiership in the next few years. We might not, but at least we're in the position to maybe challenge for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's just remember that, what he's given the club in return for the club being loyal to him as well. Now, on top of all that, can everyone in Europe please shut the fuck up?
Bro.
Because you know what you're doing? You're making my day worse.
Exactly.
And that's a problem for me, and I'm going to make it a problem for you. Can you just stop fucking sharing stories of living a better life than me right now? Look, I understand you're probably sitting there saying, Beak, you literally did the same thing when you were in Europe 6 months ago. You're forgetting that I'm the one being affected by this, and that's the main concern. So people in Europe, can you just fucking pipe down just for a day? Because you're making me sad.
It's annoying. Both my sisters are in Europe. My sister actually just got proposed to in Europe. Half my mates are in Europe. And you know what the problem is? And I will never, ever complain about working in this job or rugby league, ever. Except there is no chance I'll ever get to go to Europe in July, where everyone else is. Same for you, because it's in the middle of the freaking season.
Hopefully we sell this company for bazillions of dollars and we just fucking head off to Europe in the sunset. You know what Instagram needs? And Facebook, but mainly Instagram. Probably TikTok as well.
Yep.
A Europe filter.
Oh, my God.
If you could tick a box that didn't send you any fucking pictures from Europe, I'd tick it.
100%.
Because it's making me sad. It's making me sad. And look, I get it. You're going for a once-in-life, journey, and you get to celebrate it, and it's happy. You know why I get it? Because I was there only 6 months ago, and it was the best moment of my life. But I really feel like you're being selfish and mean to me by putting those pictures up.
I agree.
Please stop being bad people. Please stop ruining my day. You don't have to gloat. You don't have to brag. Yes, we get it. You're in Europe living a life, and it's literally the pinnacle of life because it's something you'll remember forever. It's memories that, you can't pay money for, basically, outside of a plane ticket. You can go out and buy a Ferrari. I guarantee the trip to Europe is going to be a better memory.
Absolutely.
So please just stop, because you're hurting my feelings, and you know what? I got the podcast to rant, so I'm going to do it. I got the podcast to rant, so I'm going to do it. And Instagram, if you want to help your people, if you want to help the people that consume your product, give us a Europe filter.
Please.
A Europe filter. Specifically, just boom, press the button. No more. No more.
I actually got a photo of one of my friends of a friend's who was watching the YouTube of Packer Up Boys while he was in Paris.
He's a dog. He's a bad person. Because the fact that he told you that, he's a bad person.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to make your day worse.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm sure you're sitting there going, Beak, you're a massive hypocrite. Once again, I want to remind you, this is making me sad, so it's different. So when it made you sad, when I was putting the pictures up, that's not my fucking problem.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to you.
It's not. I'm not sad. I'm fucking happy. You're sad.
So there's one criteria.
It's about me.
Your happiness.
Exactly.
Okay.
So can you just fucking take that into consideration? Because it's really pissing me off.
I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people listening who will agree with that. There's only so many photos of the Amalfi Coast I can handle.
So beautiful.
It's so nice.
Yeah. All jokes aside, I actually get really happy for people now in Europe. Before I was like, oh yeah, that looks really cool. It's almost like a distant land that's like a magical land that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Whereas now that I've gone and I see people there, I'm like, oh man, you're going to have the best time ever.
Yeah,
I actually genuinely get happy for them because, like, seriously, my trip to Europe with the Misso was probably the best 7 weeks of my life. It was so good. I honestly wouldn't trade. I'm trying to think. Would I trade that for an NRL debut?
Oh, wow.
I honestly don't know. Look, I know the obvious answer is you wouldn't, because then you can travel Europe at any time. But like, if I'm on my deathbed and I had to choose, it will be a hard choice.
Wow.
It's my honeymoon with my wife.
Yeah, of course.
Jesus,
of course.
you're a cold man, Matty.
I'm just
You're
thinking.
a cold man.
It's probably because you've done both, I think. Like, I'll never play NRL.
Oh, don't put yourself down, mate. Get out, train a bit harder, mate. You'll fucking have a crack.
Yeah, you're right. I went to Europe back in, I think it was 2016, 2017. Haven't been back since, but it was bloody awesome.
Mate, I fucking absolutely loved it. And there's so much that I didn't see, and the history and all that. Like, what I want to do is, this is a dream. Like, let's say, look, I don't think I'd ever just like leave bloke, because it's so important to me that this is a positive, part of the rugby league community. But I could see myself, like, let's say someone came with this huge offer and you sell part of the company, or you agree that you stay CEO or whatever. And, as I said, maybe I never do and I just stay what we're doing now. To be honest, it's a dream right now. But if I was to go, okay, I'll sell a little bit of it and I'll take a year off or something, me and the wife want to buy a caravan and just drive all through the Europe continent, like all through Europe. Even like just spend a year just driving all across the continents on the van. And then after that year, obviously come back. Maybe it doesn't have to be a year. It could just be like, 2 or 3 months. Sometimes I dream of that. Maybe I could do that anyway. You never know, without having to do all that. But could you imagine that? Driving across all of the Europe continent, head down into Africa if you could. Obviously, some places in Africa you probably couldn't go at the moment. But that would be amazing.
It'd be awesome, especially because, like, no matter how long you go to Europe for, like, you went for 8 weeks. Most people go for probably 4. It's the tip of the iceberg. But
You barely touch it. Like, you're running around everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, we actually booked a week longer in Paris because we were like, nah, this is too short. This is way too short. And there are so many places like Positano. I think we spent 3 days in it. That's on the Amalfi Coast. We didn't go to Sicily. We didn't go to Greece, Portugal, Croatia. Like, there are so many places we didn't go. Half as south of France we didn't go. Like, there's so many places we didn't go. Spain we did. We went to Barca, Madrid, and San Sebastian. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole country to see.
Yeah.
Like, think about all the little places in Australia that we know because we're Australian that are beautiful. Think about, there's like 1,000 of them in France. Sure. It's a bigger country, like, not a bigger country landmass wise, but population and everything like that.
Yeah. I went to Iceland, which no one goes to. And like, I wouldn't have gone there if my parents weren't there for a week. So I just popped over. So when I was in Europe, I wasn't just in Australia and got to Iceland.
Rich kid.
No, I was in Europe already.
Jesus Christ.
I was in Europe already.
I was bloody brought up on bloody just pure dirt. And this cunt's a silver spoon dog. Get him out of here, class wars. If there's a class war, we know what fucking side Matty's on. He's on the rich people's side.
But yeah, Iceland was just crazy.
Isn't Iceland like really green and Greenland's really icy?
Greenland. Yeah.
I'm cultured, bro. That's
very
how I know
cultured.
That shit.
Well done.
Thanks, bro. So Europe, just amazing. And even the history, just like sit there and go, that's the one thing as Aussies, we got a great culture. But as Aussies, we don't really have like a long history. Now, obviously, we're talking about Indigenous people. We've got the oldest history in the world. But as like Aussies, it's going to take time for us to build up our own history. Whereas you go over to France and Italy and that, like these guys have like Greece and that, you're looking at like 1,000 years history, 800 years history. Yeah. You're looking at like, you go in the Louvre and there are pieces of pottery from like fucking 5,000 years ago and shit that you get to see.
Fuck, that's wild.
It's just and the stories, you go Versailles, you get to like hear the stories of how the French had the French Revolution. Anyway, I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, Europe people, as in not Europeans, but people that are Australian in Europe, stop being bad people, please.
Yep, I agree.
Stop. You know what? Immigration should fucking close the doors. Keep yous out, you dogs. Seriously. I reckon if you post more than 100 times over in Europe, you should have your passport revoked.
100 times? Jesus Christ.
Well, if you're there, like I might have posted not 100 times. Maybe we reduced 50.
Oh, I guess I guess if you count stories and that, yeah, you're right. You're right, yeah.
Yeah, so more than 100, passport revoked.
Yeah.
And you just left wherever you fucking work it out, mate. You want to dog Australia?
Yeah.
Fucking see you later.
Actually, you're right. 100 wouldn't be that much. You say it's 4 weeks. That's only 4 stories a day.
Oh, fuck, that isn't much. Well, anyway, the rule's been made.
The rules are in.
It's the ball's in your court. If you want to get back into this beautiful country, the best in the world, don't hurt my feelings. Now, tips brought to you by Try July. Obviously, Sportsbet, absolute legends. If you're going to have a punt, you do it with Sportsbet. They're the best in the business. People try to pretend otherwise. Nah, we all know. Sportsbet's best in the business. So you're going to have a punt, you do it with Sportsbet. Use their new multi-tracker feature, which is incredible. And Try July, like, it is so friggin' cool. I cannot wait to see what happens this weekend. Because the first weekend, with Try July brought to you by Sportsbet, the first weekend, they're a bit tentative.
Yeah.
The boys. They're like, who's going to be the first? Now that we're in the mode.
Yeah, they're tentative, and it's not exactly front of mind, but now it is.
It's front of mind. Origin's over. It's time to get amongst it. Raiders have set the tone with the Bairstow cricket celebration.
I love that I know that obviously they were never going to do the grenade thing, but I love that the Origin players still celebrated. We had Best, he did one. Fox did one.
Shaker-leg,
and the Hammer did the shark.
The shark, which we now know. And you know what's funny? I did get messages saying.
Me too.
And then they're like, oh, sorry, bro. I didn't listen till the end.
I purposely didn't respond straight away because I was just waiting for the follow-up 5 minutes later.
And then it comes.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You're all predictable, you motherfuckers. I know you's better than you know yourself. No, I joke. You know what is weird for me and for you as well, and for Guru and for Timmy and for all the boys, is like how many hours people listen to us talk in a week.
I know.
Like, I can't believe you guys enjoy listening to me talk this much. It's fucking weird. The first time I ever was like, what the fuck? People actually like me this much was in 2018 or 19. And I'd been doing like just some reactions and the podcast, obviously. And I went to just a festival because like I don't ever go out. And then I might go to a festival like once or twice a year and just have a blowout and really enjoy myself with the missus.
Yep.
And like we went there and like the people, the love that the community was showing me, I was like, what the fuck? Like I couldn't believe the love that was getting shown. And so now it's weird. It's like, it's almost, because like I know people listening, it's almost like we're mates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
Because you know me, because you fucking hear me talk all the time. It'd be very hard to hide who I was. If you know, you can hide who you are, like if you do like a little bit of content every week. But the amount of content we do is just impossible.
Yeah. It's like you're on show like for a whole working week.
Well, it's like, so how much you're looking at, like, let's say 12 hours of listening time. But yeah, it's cool though, because when I do run into people, like, you are mates. Because do you know what I mean? Because if they listen to as long as they do, like a long, then obviously we get along. And so there's so many things to talk about,
100%.
Even though we've never met each other.
Yeah.
So it's actually really cool.
Can I tell you a story? I forgot about this. This only happened the other day.
It's because you're so famous and arrogant.
Well, yeah. So I was walking my dog and just in the middle of the day, I had bloke shirt on because I think must have just been in the studio. And it was Tuesday because the bins were out. Everyone's bins were out. And my dog, I had to pick up my dog's poo, and I just wanted to throw it in the first available bin. But I always feel bad throwing dog poo in someone else's bin but I'm just like, well, I'm not going to hold this around.
It is a bin.
It's a bin, yeah. So whatever.
There's no like specific poo bin, is there?
Nah, there's not. So anyway, there was these 2 bins in front of me. One was next to the White House, and one was next to the greenhouse. No, I just had, you know how you have those little mental battles in your head? I'm like, I wonder like which one of these people is a worse person. So because of that, I'm just gonna pick who I think's the worst person, then I'll put it in. Anyway,
super weird, but okay.
I know. So I picked the you will not believe this. I picked the greenhouse, put it in. As I put it in and started walking off, a guy walks out of the White House wearing a DMP shirt.
No way.
And then he was like, he pointed at my shirt, didn't recognize me at first, pointed at my shirt, goes, oh, and he's like, oh, you're Matty. And he's like, and I'm like, I obviously didn't tell him the story, but I was like, you would not.
Did you put poo in his bin?
No, the other guy.
So you got it right.
I got it right.
Yes.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I just drove from Queensland for 10 hours. I was just listening to you the whole time. I was like, fuck, that's insane.
It's insane. We literally are so fucking lucky. So lucky. You know what else is like some of the boys, and I've seen like just jokes, but like putting shit that I always wear bloke kit. And I'm always like, ever since I started, I was like, how can I ask people to buy merch and not wear it myself?
Yeah, for sure.
I never understand people that create their own brands or whatever, but they don't wear it. It's like, no, you owe it. If you're willing, if you're going to sell it,
Yeah.
you better wear it.
Wear it. Bloody oath.
Because what you're basically saying is, oh, I want you all to wear it, but
Yeah.
I'm not wearing it.
Yeah.
I'm too good for that shit.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, it's
No
a great
way.
point.
Like, I love my bloke shit.
Yeah. Same. It's my 3/4 of my wardrobe.
Mate, it's my whole fucking wardrobe. The missus didn't know she literally married the most daggiest dresser ever. Trying to wear t-shirts and shorts everywhere and bloke hoodies. We need to jazz it up a bit. I think with the merch and that, like obviously we'll keep doing the merch. I love doing it. I think it's so humbling. You know what my favorite drop has been? It's actually been the World Cup drop. And I didn't even know it would make me feel this proud, but the World Cup drop because, so you got Samoan bloke, Tongan bloke, Indian bloke, Chinese bloke. I think we did Dutch bloke even.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Like we did so many different.
30, didn't we?
Like we did so many different Aussie bloke, Kiwi bloke. And what I loved about that is because, you know, I feel like in yesteryear there was like this, you know, basically you're what an Aussie is.
Yeah.
Is someone that looks like you.
Yeah.
And what I love about that is that, you know, it's celebrating, you know, if you're a Samoan bloke or a Tongan bloke or a Kiwi bloke, like, yes, you have your heritage, but also you're Australian as well.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that, you know, it's just so inclusive and not in the cringe way of like, let's be inclusive or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like just genuinely being like, yeah, like you may have a heritage that you really appreciate or whatever, but you're a bloke just like everyone else. And that was something that I just really, really like because it's changed. Like Australia is not what it was 20 to 30 years ago. It's so multicultural.
Absolutely.
And so that's something that was really like seeing like, you know, Indian bloke or Philo bloke even. That made me really proud because obviously my wife is Filipino and her family is Filipino. And seeing that and making, I guess, creating an environment where like they feel included, like because bloke is such an Australian word. So that was actually my favorite.
Yeah, it's funny you say about your missus. Getting my Courtney's little brother an Italian bloke one. That was cool as well.
See, yeah, it's mad. And it makes them feel appreciated to a degree because they're like, oh, mad. Like these two things usually wouldn't be together. Like Italian, it might be something more paying heritage to Italy, but it's like a mixture of two. It's like Aussie bloke, but you're an Italian bloke. Your heritage is Italian. So that was actually probably my proudest drop, whatever.
Yeah.
My favorite drop though, it's always the jerseys.
Got to be.
The fucking jerseys are so hectic. I love the jerseys so much. And seeing everyone in Magic Round, holy moly.
That was obviously
first year, wild. I couldn't believe it. Like you get used to anything. So the second year you saw them everywhere. And don't get me wrong, I was still like, the first year was shocking.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
First year was crazy.
I couldn't believe it. But what's bizarre is there was more bloke jerseys in the second year.
Yeah.
But the first year was just shocking because I couldn't believe that every camera you saw bloke jerseys.
It was wild.
Even like seeing guys with Aussie bloke shirts over at the cricket.
That is sick.
I
think that's cool.
Yeah. So friggin' cool. So, yeah, we'll definitely always do the merch, but I reckon we'll start maybe releasing like some limited numbers, but like nicer stuff, like nicer tees. It won't replace what we're already doing, guys. Absolutely not. But I would love to be able to, you know, if I'm going to the bar for some drinks, it'd be really cool to have like a nice tee with it that's a bit better material. Yeah. Design is a bit more, you know, dressier or whatever. We would never go super duper dressy, so hopefully we can do that soon. Anyway, let's get into the tips. I don't know. We were in Try July there for a second. Now we're in merchandise. Okay, Knights versus the Tigers. Knights paying $1.28. Tigers $3.72.
Yeah, look, I think Newcastle.
Appy's back.
Appy's back, but I just think the Knights at home, they didn't have. Oh no! So what am I saying? They didn't have any Origin players. They had freaking Bradman, Best, and Saifidi. I'm still going Knights. They're at home, right? Yeah.
I'm tipping Knights, but $3.72 with Appy back.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm willing to say it's value.
I thought they were half decent against the Sharks without Appy in the first half.
And it's like Appy is the key.
Yeah.
He's the key. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Canterbury Bulldogs playing the Brisbane Broncos. Canterbury $2.79. Broncos $1.45.
Pat Carrigan not playing apparently.
Oates out.
Oates out. Full house at Belmore. Now I know their record isn't good, but you can't really take that into account because they've been pretty bad the last few years. Tipping the Broncos, but I think I'm going to go the Doggies with the start. I don't know what the start is, but I reckon it'll be a close game. But I think Broncos to win.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a really important game for the Broncos because they can't let games like this slip.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden the media pressure will just be like fucking mental.
It's good that the Broncos, I reckon they have the depth to cover it, but you do got a lot of starting forwards out. I think 4 starting forwards are
Payne
out.
Haas out, Reece Walsh out, Paddy Carrigan out.
Yep. Flegler out.
Flegler out.
Ricky out.
Oates out.
Yeah. It's a lot of outs.
A lot of outs. So, but it's really important that, like, that's no excuse because of the roster that we have still.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So it's, and the Dogs have got players out too.
Yeah.
So they still should hopefully get the win. Manly, 226. Cowboys, $1.64. I've got a feeling Cowboys win well.
I love Cowboys here. And apparently they're all backing up. Well, I think they're all backing up.
Now, you know what the internet does? It like makes you scared of like making like strong calls on things.
I know.
Because you just know the Cowboys get towed up. There's someone in the comment section going, "Oh, you fucking blah, blah." Like last week, and I was like, "Don't be a hindsight hero. If you disagree, put in the comments."
Yeah.
There was someone that said something that.
Of course there was.
And it's like, bro, as I said, like if you strong, like let's say I reckon Cowboys strongly win.
Yeah.
And you in the comment section now go, "Nah, that's ridiculous. Manly going to win." Well, it's not ridiculous, but Manly. I disagree, Kempy. Manly win 13 plus, and they do. Then I'm like, fair play, bro.
Sure.
You killed it. But after it,
nah,
that's
please.
Even if you like are right and they won and I was totally wrong, you're still in the wrong because you're being a hindsight hero.
I think last week though, the Warriors fans are different. They love
but it wasn't even. I don't think it was Warriors fan.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think it was only one, but he was just like some random dude.
I love Warriors fans. They're my favorite people.
They're so funny.
Yeah,
they're definitely the funniest fan base.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, they're definitely the funniest fan base because they take the piss out of everything.
Oh my God.
Like the typical like come Warriors bro and shit like that. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah, so Manly. Look, I think Cowboys. I think Cowboys are about to go on a bit of a run. Well, from what we've seen. Okay, Sydney Roosters $2.52, Storm $1.53.
Melbourne, no Teddy. I'm going Melbourne.
Yeah, I'm going Melbourne. New Zealand Warriors $1.96, Sharkies $1.88.
Oh, I'm on the Warriors.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going Sharkies. I reckon this is a grand final for them.
It's the game of the week for sure.
Well, but think about it. The Sharkies, what is all the talk been?
Exactly.
Can't beat a top
team.
8 side. Yeah. Also, what happened last year with the Warriors when they beat them with 11 men at home?
True.
So I think that the Sharkies win because they've got so much more to play for here. Whereas the Warriors they're riding high. They've had an incredible year. But when I explained my position, but the Warriors, every time I think that they're not going to be able to get the win, they prove me wrong.
They do it, yeah.
So it's like, when am I going to start fucking believing the way I should be believing in the Warriors? And this isn't a matter of saying the Warriors are going to play poorly. I just reckon that the Sharks, if they lose this game, their headlines, because when do they play a top 8 side again after that?
I think they actually got a bottom 8 team the week after. I have to Google this. And then I think they got Rabbitohs and Panthers. So they've got a bit of a tough month coming up.
And so if they can't win this game, when they get up against Rabbitohs Panthers, they're going to be scarred.
Yeah, for sure.
So I reckon it's just going to be it's such an important game. Definitely game of the round.
For sure.
And the Warriors, fucking hell, they're so good, bro. I'm so happy for the Warriors. They're going so well.
And happy for Johnson just re-sign.
Oh, mate. So
beautiful.
Good. Dolphins, Panthers. Dolphins paying $5.50, Panthers $1.15. Cleary at 24.
Panthers.
So you reckon Cleary will play?
I honestly have no idea, but I have. Why the hell would he play?
Why wouldn't he, or why would he?
Like, why would the Panthers coaching staff risk him?
That's what I mean. Unless he is named 7 at the start of the week, he should not be playing.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he's named 24 means he shouldn't be playing.
100%.
And look, the Panthers doctors and everything, medical staff and performance, they know way more than I do. So there's things that he's passed that make it sure. But I think that, like, the fact that they weren't certain on Tuesday means just give it another week.
I reckon that he's in the squad because he probably wants to.
Yeah, but he's pushing for it.
The doctors have to be like, mate, it's a round 20 game.
We're at top of the table.
Yeah.
We're killing it. We've proven we can beat you. The Dolphins, they're an okay side, but they're not a final side at the moment. I think they'd be crazy to play at Cleary.
Especially after last year. He didn't even play the last 5 rounds.
I just think they would be crazy. I just think it'd be crazy.
Regardless, I'm going Penrith.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Para Eels, what's crazy is, and it's not even really been talked about that much, they're going for a 3-peat.
I know.
Something we've never seen.
Literally.
I've never seen.
It's at 1982, 3, 4, I think was the last
one. And then
one.
it's like basically a different game back then.
Yeah.
In regards to,
Yeah, ridiculously different.
So very hard to compare eras that are that far apart. You might be able to compare like 90s to now, kind of.
Yeah.
But 80s to now?
Not even close.
They're just, and I'm not saying that the 80s is worse. I'm just saying it's just a completely different environment.
Sure, yeah.
Now, Para Eels $1.34, Titans 327. I think there's a bit of value there. I'm going Eels.
Big value.
And I think the Eels are about to go on a run. Moses is going to be confident as anything.
Yeah.
Brown, if he does return, is going to be looking to repay, the situation he's in. Gutho, back. He's been rested essentially.
Yeah.
Bowlaw's going to be angry for the rest of the year because he got dropped. RCG is going to be confident.
Yeah.
I think the Eels are going to win. But 327, I think, is value.
Yeah, it depends on Fafita because he only played half an hour on Wednesday because I think he had a hip pointer injury. If he plays, I'm tipping the Titans. I'll just tip the Titans. I'm tipping the Titans. Yeah, I don't mind the Titans this year.
I like the Titans.
Yeah.
I really do, and I think that they're building something special. And also, guys, watching the footy, you watch with 9 now. Tonight, Knights versus Tigers, and then Dolphins versus Panthers on Sunday, 9 now. The biggest game and the best commentary for free. Get on and stream it now, anytime, anywhere. That's the 9 now. So go to your phone right now. If you haven't got the app, download the 9 now app. It's not just rugby league that's on there. There is tons of content on the 9 now app. There's documentaries, there's obviously live TV. It is a great app. Give it a download, or you can watch on your browser. And if you're and ahhing as to which to watch it on, by watching it on 9 now, you're supporting the bloke community.
Yep.
Also, don't forget, for the weekend, Burton is the code. So when you spend $15 or more, you get free delivery if you put the code Burton in. So if you're going to order a feed today or tomorrow, put the code Burton in.
Bloody oath. Already done this weekend for me.
Already done.
Now
we are going to end the show and go fuck ourselves. As always, guys, make sure to grab a case of Bloke beer, support the platform, but also it's a bloody great beer. So give her a crack. And our MIDI too. People love the MIDI. But as usual, we'll go and fuck ourselves.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.